Everybody's watching, but can't nobody see anything unless it's up on that TV screen. This I can't understand, cause in the world we know, we snub our brother for someone up on the TV show. And it just ain't right, cause this life's a fight. We pay the sleeper and the starve the man that's up all night. What about the kids? I can't believe this shit. We sending money overseas, don't know which way Israel is. But if you peek around and listen for the sound, there's your neighbor's baby starving somewhere here and now. What are you to do but to play the fool? Cause showing love to your brother that ain't been shown to you. Cause you choose your brother by color and know it just ain't cool. Don't treat each other as equals like they all preached in school. I like the numbers, but love is what they should teach in school. Reminding me to the brother that I can see in you, yeah. No color, no way, no ethnicity and no race. We'll all be the same on the day when they put us in the grave. Yeah. No color, no way, no color, no ethnicity and no race. No ethnicity and no. We'll all be the same on the day when they put us in the grave. Yeah. Everybody's searching, but won't nobody find anything that's significant in their daily life. Listening to daily lives while watching CNN, Channel 4, Fox 11, and all the rest of them. Look at the mess we're in, there's so much we don't know. Yeah, we develop all our hatred based off what they show. Just look how hatred grows, where'd all our leaders go? Last time I recall, they all 6 feet down and in a hole, yeah. And they all the same, cause the graves got dug and filled up in vain. The tombstone don't really care for your name. Dig up your mama so they mama can lay. And I say, ain't nobody gonna follow what you don't say. Television got them following the wrong way, and they only to the gun so they song play. Then they only kill they own like the song say. When you tell them to run, they go the wrong way. Little brother ain't trying to run the whole state. Don't want no piece of the pie, we want the whole cake. And any brother who sang can run a country. No color, no way. No color, no. No ethnicity and no race. No ethnicity and no. We'll all be the same on the day when they put us in the grave. When they put us in the grave. No color, no way. I know some bloods in no ethnicity and no race. I know some Crips in. We'll all be the same on the day. Shout out to my SA. When they put us in the grave. Shout out to my essays. Shout out to souls.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay. Now let's get ready to get black into it. Before we do, let's see who all is in here. Okay, Betty Boop, Reggie, Lewis Kendrick is here. Nita's and Mike's World. Let's get into it. Pearly, Love Christie, 504 Nola, Mr. Elevation is here. D Major. All right, Junior Thorpe is here. Nubia Ra. Okay, let's get into it. Cookie. All right, Reggie. Did I say you? Quiet Storm, Dangerous with the people. All right. Hey, Trail, Black Barbie doll. Okay, Byron is here. Okay, so shout out to all of my loyal roads and everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Earth Angel, Dark Tube, Candy Girl. All right, so before we get started, hey, Bronze Flat Power God, Shannon is here. Okay, so let's have a brief word from my sponsor. I see you, Chris B. Beloved. Here we go. Everybody hit the like button. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel because you know they unsubscribe people on ScrewTube.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so let's get into it. Listen, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find her products at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay. I see I love hip hop is tuned in with us. Okay, Diane, the lounge. All right, D Major is here, Nene, Nessa G. Okay, let's get into it. And somebody else, Truth Brown. Okay, hey Truth. Wally the Truth is here. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it because it is a whole bunch of nefariousness going on. All right, and we're about to talk about every bit of it. Okay, because y'all know I've been doing my research. I've been trying to make it all make sense. Now, before we get into everything, I want you all to see this video. Now, listen to this thug here.
Y'all better stop fucking with the white man, poking him, prodding him, provoking him, acting like he's weak. Do you think we colonized the entire planet by being weak? And just think about it. The white man has the capability to press a button and make a million people go bye-bye. Do you understand the intellectual prowess behind something like that? I mean, you guys have been around for 300,000 years and haven't been able to accomplish it yet. And of course, you guys have your Glocks and Dracos and ARs, and it makes you feel really tough. But that was all built off the white man's ingenuity, not yours. The best thing you guys have been able to come up with is bows and spears and sticks and stones and rocks and shit. So if we're talking about the ability to wage total war against somebody, do you understand the difference in between a nuclear capable power and literally caveman technology? Like, the difference is so astronomical, you guys can't even wrap your brains around it. So the fact that you guys are this bold and this inept is literally comedic gold. Because whenever that pendulum swings back the other way, which it will, you guys will be at the total mercy of a power greater than yourselves, and you won't be able to do a goddamn thing about it. Whoever encouraged you guys to get this bold did you guys a major disservice.
Now, you know what I have to say about that? You know what I have to say about that? Push the button already. Don't talk about it, be about it. You want the smoke, then bring it. Okay, do you hear this? Do you hear this? I mean, does he not realize that historically they've had their feet on our necks, but we're still here and we're still going to be here. So all I have to say is push the button. Okay, do it. Don't sit there and talk trash. Literally do it. Okay, I implore you, devil. Now, they may have all of the latest technology and weapons, but we have spiritual warfare. Okay, we have powers beyond what he can wrap his head around. Okay, please pay attention. I find it all so interesting. Okay, and did he say something about a caveman? Projection, really? But let's continue. I just thought that was interesting and thought I'd share that with you all because I mean, these people are something else. You can't even stay out in the sun, okay, all day long without having consequences. But we're supposed to be fearful of you, sir. Please have several seats, okay, on a cactus, no less. All right. Now let's go to this TikTok that I did earlier. Find it all nefarious. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. We all need to really be paying attention to the smallest details in this Nolan Wells case because the devil is in the details. Let's get into it. First of all, his so-called best friend, Javon Williams, went on TMZ, and the way he was speaking about Nolan didn't sound like someone who was his best friend. It seems like he separated himself from Nolan. It seems like he was like totally disconnected. And then at one point, he referred to Nolan as the body. Okay, I thought that was very interesting and it sounded so cold and callous because I couldn't imagine referring to my best friend that way. I had something happened and she'd lost her life. I'm going to refer to her as the body, but that's absolutely what he said. Another thing I thought was interesting is the fact that he didn't want to admit that it was about race, but in my opinion, it absolutely was. Okay, please pay attention. I mean, it seemed as though he were trying to paint a narrative, or shall I say, change the narrative, and like he was trying to defend the three guys that were with Nolan, the ones that many of us are suspicious about. And I wonder if he was coached before that interview, but also why was he on TMZ, but he hadn't spoken to the police? Now, the police are supposed to be investigating this, but why haven't they even spoken to him? Okay, please pay attention. Then this guy Tracy comes out and says that he was the one that was in the argument that we all heard in the video, and says that he was arguing about his girlfriend. He also said that he was close friends with Nolan, but Nolan's mother doesn't even know who he is. Now, maybe he knew Nolan and they were cool, but if he was really so close to him, I would think that the parents, at least one of them, would have known who he was. Okay, please pay attention. It's also interesting that two of Nolan's BLK friends are the ones that are coming out talking, but not the others. They're the ones putting themselves in the spotlight, basically. And it seems like there are a couple of token BLK people, in my opinion. I mean, it basically seems like the only purpose they're serving is to protect the other three. And maybe, there's nothing suspicious about it at the end of the day. And maybe they're just trying to set the record straight. And maybe what they're saying is absolutely the truth. But the funny thing is, why are they so willing to talk to media outlets and to go on TMZ, and talk to these publications, but not speak to the police? That's really interesting, because had that been my close friend or best friend, that would have been the first thing I would have done, is gone to the police. You see, the police wouldn't have had to come to me. I would have gone to them. Please pay attention. It's also interesting that Nolan's body wasn't recovered until the morning, okay, of the 6th. Now, they had been out searching for him on the 5th and didn't find him at all. Didn't see anything suspicious. His father and the coach had gone out. The Cajun Navy was also out there. And that's another thing. The Cajun Navy said that someone that was close to Nolan, one of his friends, had reached out to them. And then later they spoke with a mother because they were put in touch with her. So I thought that was interesting. Why would his friends be calling the Coast Guard and the Cajun Navy? Okay. Also, when the father spoke about getting the keys from one of the friend spoke about Nolan in past tense. Not, mind you, they went to get the father went to get the keys before Nolan's body was discovered. So why was the friend talking in past tense when he said Nolan was like a brother to him? Okay, please pay attention. I'm suspicious about the Nolan Wells situation, because there's been a history of people who look like me being the lone person amongst the YT people and not making it back alive. Okay, this has happened plenty of times. There's so many stories. And with that all being said, also there's a story recently of Dion Walton, age 17, who also passed away on July the 4th after going to a community lake off of Harmony Church Road in Alabama with his coaches, who were all YT, and his football team, who were all YT. And he is the only one who is BLK. Okay, please pay attention. Now, his family says that he was a mediocre swimmer, but the coaches said that he and some other students or football players stood on top of something and said they were going to jump off. I don't know if it's a diving board, a pier, or something like that. But they stood up there and then said they were going to jump off and try to swim to some small island. Okay, well, he didn't make it. But if he was a mediocre swimmer and he knew that, why would he be engaging in such risky behavior? Like, is that really what happened? Because it sounds real strange. Okay, please pay attention. And then there's the case of 18-year-old Daniel Irving from North Texas, who left April the 13th of 2026 to go fishing and swimming at a lake with some friends. Okay, they were going to Ray Hubbard Lake. Now, that was the last time he was seen alive. And on April the 14th, his mother filed an official missing persons report, okay, after she was unable to reach him. So then this story really gained media attention, okay, after July the 9th, there were arrests made, okay? Now, mind you, all of these people going off with their YT friends and then supposedly accidentally drowning. Yeah, of course we're suspicious, and anyone with common sense would be. So the MAGA millions need to sit down somewhere and stop acting as though we're just, grasping for straws. Please pay attention. And then there's 25-year-old Joseph Posey Jr. from Beaumont, Texas, who was found drowned in a canal June the 27th of 2026. He was 25 years old. Okay, please pay attention. And then there's also 11-year-old Angelique Cunningham of Oregon, Ohio, okay, who went on a boat ride with her neighbor, who's now been arrested, by the way, but this was on July the 1st. And she drowned. And mind you, the neighbor didn't even bother to call the police. Okay, she simply got a ride and went on about her business. I also thought it was interesting that Tracy Shepard came out and issued a statement basically saying that he's not going to be doing any more interviews. He was letting the media know that he'd basically been in touch with the proper individuals and that he was advocating for himself, his friends, and justice for Nolan, and that they could use his words from previous interviews, but that he really wasn't going to be reaching out to any more of them to do interviews. And why did he feel the need to issue a statement? And why are you doing these interviews anyway? And you aren't willing or haven't spoken to the family or the police? Yeah, I find this all very interesting. Okay, please pay attention. And also, Judge Ashley Cole, who is the stepmother of Nolan's supposed friend, okay, so-called friend Warren. Well, now there's a petition against her because people feel like she had no business commenting on an open investigation into Nolan's demise when she is the stepmother of one of the people that people have accused of being involved in it, and also by the fact that she announced herself as a judge. Okay, they say this could absolutely make people feel like they can't trust the judicial system, which people that look like me, we don't really trust it anyway. But nonetheless, that was inappropriate. She had no business doing that. And so now there's a petition issued. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the petition asked the Mississippi Commission on Judicial Performance to conduct a full and thorough investigation. And if they find that she has any serious violations, that she receive consequences. And that includes being removed from office. Okay, please pay attention. It's also interesting that Trayston said during an interview that no one wanted to see Nolan die. No one wanted to see anything happen to him. Why would he say that? No one wanted to see? Like, what did he see? Because clearly he saw something, in my opinion. Okay, please pay attention. I think this is a very huge cover up in the case of Nolan. And I think that Judge Ashley Cole has a lot to do with it. I think she's the one that the boys called after this all happened. I think she's the one that told everyone to lawyer up and get rid of your social media. Okay. And then she came out making those statements, in my opinion, as, damage control. Okay, then that's just my opinion. I can't substantiate it, but that's exactly what I think. And she absolutely needs to be removed from the bench. Okay, please pay attention. Yeah, please pay attention. Now, here's the thing. Let me just say this because D Major, I saw your comment, beloved. You said none of us want nuclear war because it's worse than any of us could imagine. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But guess what? I don't give a damn. Listen, these people are not going to have me living in fear. At the end of the day, push the button. We're all going out, including them. That's how that's going to go, okay? I'm of the mindset of Samson when he told God to give him the strength one last time and he would knock down those walls and die with the Philistines. Yeah, that's me. We can all go, okay? As long as we all go, I'm fine with that because they're going to. That's my point. Don't threaten me, okay? Because I don't fear death. He's the one that needs to fear death. Okay, that's what he needs to do. You see, we are God's chosen people. So there's a better life after this one, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm just saying, do what you got to do. All right, that's all I'm saying. Do what you got to do. All right, because that's what Black people have always done, what we had to do. Now, let's go to a report about Daniel Irvin. Yeah, I will not allow a racist MAGA minion to put fear in me. Sitting there talking all that trash like they're so big and bad. When if a Black man his own size walked up to him with the smoke, he wouldn't want it. Okay, that's what I know. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to this Fox 4 clip about Daniel Irvin. May all of those victims rest in peace. They all passed away this year, just weeks ago. Okay. 2 on the 4th of July, 1 on July the 1st, 1 on June the 27th, and 1 back in April. But the bottom line is, this is nothing new because the Klan performs these rituals, okay, around July the 4th. And it doesn't always have to happen on the specific date, because if you all remember 2020 when I reported on Bobby Kwawan Charles, okay, who was taken by the white woman and her son, and then he never made it back home, and then they found him dead in a field days later. They said he had been face down in a lake. Okay, now with that all being said, this was October the 31st, Halloween. Yeah, they absolutely do rituals on those days as well, on that day specifically. Okay, So now let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Lucas Roper is accused of tampering with evidence in connection to the drowning death of 18-year-old Daniel Irving in Lake Ray Hubbard back in April. Irving's body was discovered on April 17th, 4 days after he is believed to have drowned. Irving had reportedly gone to the lake with Roper and a juvenile suspect to swim and go fishing. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, Roper was interviewed by detectives after Irving's body was found. Roper told police after the three of them had jumped into the lake from the railroad track bridge, Irving drowned and Roper panicked. Instead of calling 911, the affidavit states Roper told investigators he deleted all communication with Daniel Irving from his cell phone, adding that Roper confirmed he was aware that there would be an investigation into Daniel Irving's death and he did not want to get into trouble, and states Roper threw Daniel Irving's clothes in the tree line as they fled the location. The juvenile suspect also told investigators he admitted he threw Daniel Irving's cell phone from the vehicle after suspect Roper told him to.
We, the family, are deeply inclined these individuals intended on no one looking for Daniel.
Irving's siblings said his young life was full of promise.
He had just begun his recruitment to the U.S. Army. He was trained with discipline. He carried himself with a purpose. He believed in building a life of service.
This has been tough on our family. Daniel was our protector, and I have nothing but good things to say about him.
19-year-old Lucas Roper is accused of tampering with evidence in connection.
Now, after tampering with evidence, okay, and much of what they said he did, yeah, that sounded just like what happened. That sounds just like what happened to Nolan. Okay, that sounds just like what happened to Nolan. Now, before we get into the receipts about Nolan, let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about these Klan rituals. Okay, and Scoop says, threats don't work with me. I only fear the Most High. Babylon can fall. I don't care. Exactly my point, beloved. Okay, and Babylon is going to fall. Okay, Trump is going to make it fall. And that's what the devils don't seem to realize. These mega millions who are so brainwashed and follow him so in a cult-like fashion. Okay, so thank you for insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, let me share my screen so you all can see this. Because here's why all these people are dead from fake accidental drownings. That's what they label it. They weren't accidents. They were on purpose. Okay, now look at this. Historically, the Ku Klux Klan frequently used July the 4th to stage massive protests, public rallies, and mass initiation ceremonies. Now, didn't that white woman tell us that on that video when we were talking about Nolan Wells, when this incident first happened with him? She said this was Klan activity. She said that her family was Klan and that she didn't fool with them, and that's why. Okay, so please pay attention. Initiation ceremonies, okay? You don't think that some of those friends of his might have wanted to just, become Klansmen like other people in that city, in that area? Now, during their peak in the 1920s, the group branded itself as patriotic, holding Independence Day events, often drawing tens of thousands of attendees to promote white supremacy and anti-immigrant ideologies. Okay, now, with that all being said, this is exactly why these things are happening, okay? And don't forget the day of the rope and what I told you all about that. Now, hold on. And here's another thing. This is some more information from a different source. Now, listen to this. And likes up, everyone, please get the likes up. You know, they say that the likes aren't liking, okay? The likes aren't matching, you guys. Let's try to get the likes up if we can, please. Okay, so Ku Klux Klan rituals on the 4th of July, historically and presently, okay, center on white supremacy. Now, the most recognized ritual is the burning of a fiery cross, which KKK members perform alongside rallies, patriotic speeches, and initiations. You see, this is why I always tell you all that the wanton supremacists, the racist MAGA million type people, they hide their racism under the guise of patriotism, okay, because that's what the Klan's always talking about, patriotic, okay? okay, being patriotic. Now, the Klan's July 4th traditions mimic standard American holiday events such as parades and picnics, but use them to promote segregation and anti-minority ideologies. During the 1920s, the Klan experienced a massive resurgence and often used Independence Day to rebrand itself as a mainstream patriotic organization. Klansmen would hold massive rallies that featured family-friendly festivals where they would have Black people hanging from trees and take off parts of their body as souvenirs, okay? They would have vendor booths, concerts, airplane stunts, all designed to mask their core agenda, okay, of nativism and racial supremacy. Now, with that all being said, let me just go to one more part. I'm not going to read this whole thing. So during the height of the Second Klan's popularity in the 1920s, Independence Day was treated as one of their primary annual events. Okay? So then Independence Day was a preferred date for induction rituals because it allowed the Klan to forcefully tie their white supremacist ideology to American citizenship. Thousands of new recruits would gather in fields on July the 4th to recite the Klan's oath. Okay, they would recite it together while standing before a burning cross. Okay, so I think we pretty much see what's going on here. All right. And they go on to say that white supremacist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan and spontaneous white mobs, use the holiday weekend to perpetrate racial terror, directly contrasting the concept of American independence with the violent subjugation of Black Americans. All right? Historians from organizations like the Equal Justice Initiative document that terror lynchings frequently took place on a ritualistic public atmosphere, like Horn Island, perhaps. The holiday context often heightened this brutality in specific ways. Lynchings were not always clandestine acts. They were frequently treated as community spectacles, because communities were already gathered for the 4th of July weekend with white mobs, which white mobs used. They utilized the large crowds to maximize the psychological trauma inflicted on local Black populations. Mobs frequently integrated tortures, mutilations, and hangings directly into the festivities, okay? Large crowds, sometimes including women and children, would watch, take photographs, and even collect body parts of the victims as souvenirs. And by the fact that this year was the 250th anniversary of the U.S., what do you think they were doing? Okay, what do you think they were doing? That's exactly why all these Black people that I just showed you all in that TikTok, that's why all of them are dead. Okay, maybe not Daniel because that was back in April, but the rest of them right around July the 4th. Okay, so I think we know exactly what's going on here. And if we don't, we have an idea. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. I'm going to go to this video from Secret Service Sam, and then we're going to go to this information about the sheriff speaking out and the FBI joining in the investigation. Ben Crump has these people shook, okay? He has these people shook because now they know that a second autopsy is coming out.
A Nolan Xavier Wells update, and I just posted a video because somebody messaged me. I'm sure you guys have seen the video, and I just want to kind of update this with more questions of, why did Evan Knowles, if the photo was taken June 27th, why did he share it in a 4th of July carousel? And then why was it deleted? He had said he deleted it because out of respect for Nolan. But again, why post something that happened June 27th? Why wait all the way until July 4th to post it with that group of pictures? That's just a question we need answered. Also, if they want to prove that picture was on June 27th, why doesn't he go into his phone, show us the picture on anybody's phone? You can go in, tap on it. It says the metadata. It says the date. Post that. Why are they not posting it? Also, the kid who had USA shaved into his chest. If that was a June 27th party, that means, let's say he did it that morning. Why would you shave USA in your chest a week ahead of the 4th of July because you have the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. That is a full week. And it just doesn't add up. So I want to make sure people know that while I did get that information, I was happy to share it. It's still not convincing anybody that it doesn't seem suspect. So if you want to really prove it out there, all you people who have this pool picture, and Ben Crump still has it up, I'm guessing if the metadata had been proven June 27th, Ben Crump would be sharing that. But I just want to make sure people know I'm not like hook, line, and sinker, like I'm believing this. It just actually makes me have more questions. Let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, absolutely. More questions. Okay, more questions. And also, I told you, look at this picture. Now, this guy right here with the USA on the chest, he looks too darn old to be out there with those kids. Look how young these girls look. Okay, I'm sorry, he looks like a whole devil. Like his eyes look so scary, like a shark. And then this kid right here looks terrified. What's going on? Okay, what is going on right here? I mean, look how young these people look. Why is he looking so horrified? I just have several questions. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, let's continue. Because as investigators continue working to determine what happened to Nolan Wells after the 18-year-old disappeared during a 4th of July trip to Mississippi's Horn Island, okay, Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter is urging the public to be patient and to avoid jumping to conclusions. Well, I don't think so. We're way past that. Okay, they surely jumped to conclusions with Carmelo Anthony, only for them to now find out through Mike Howard spilling the tea that everything we were saying about Carmelo was absolutely right. It was self-defense. Okay, Austin Metcalf was a bully and racist, just like his dad. All right, just like his dad. And speaking of that, there was a video I meant to show you where someone who knows his father called him out on it. Okay, now speaking to ABC News, Aaron Katersky in an interview that aired on Good Morning America on Tuesday, July the 14th, Ledbetter said that his office is continuing to gather evidence as investigators await autopsy and toxicology reports. How long does it take to do an autopsy? I'm sure it's done by now, and they don't really need to wait for the toxicology reports to release the autopsy information. If you ask me, they're waiting on Ben Crump to see what that second autopsy report says, so they don't look stupid, because they surely were going to try to tell their own story, I believe. Now, that all being said, it says, I think it's important we don't put ourselves on a timetable, that we don't rush ourselves. This is what Sheriff Ledbetter said. But I do think it's important to be diligent in gathering all the facts. But that's what the family deserves. Well, here's the thing. If that's what the family deserved, why are you dragging your feet? Why haven't you brought all of those little thugs in for questioning, okay, and gone and taken that boat in so you all can examine it for forensic evidence, DNA, all sorts of things, blood spatter, who knows what else? Okay, why haven't you done that? Why haven't they interrogated them or arrest any of them on smaller charges so they can start talking? You know how they do in the first 48. Yeah, I don't think he's doing a good job. That's just my opinion. So anyway, authorities have previously said they believe Wells may have drowned after disappearing during a July 4th boat trip with friends on Horn Island, okay, a barrier island off Mississippi's Gulf Coast. They say rip currents have been dangerous in that area before. A teenage girl was taken to the hospital from Dolphin Island, not far from Horn Island, in 2022 after being stuck in the water. Well, that has nothing to do with what those devils did to Nolan. Okay? Nothing to do at all. So now, they also say in the second article, investigators say the case remains active as fresh tips pour in, with authorities stressing toxicology testing could still take several more weeks. That's their excuse. Like I said, they don't need to wait on the toxicology reports to let us know the manner of death. Toxicology is just going to let us know whatever, or if anything, was in his system. So the 18-year-old was found dead on July the 6th in the waters off Mississippi's Horn Island after disappearing during a 4th of July trip with 3 high school friends. His death is being investigated by the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, while civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represents Wells' family, has also commissioned an independent autopsy and called for a separate investigation. Now, Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter said detectives have continued interviewing witnesses and are working alongside multiple agencies, including the FBI. This investigation is active. It's ongoing, Ledbetter says. He revealed investigators have received a wave of new leads, saying this recent week, we got a lot of valuable information that has come from the public. We put out a call to action last week for that information, and it's been very productive. Let me tell y'all something. Why do you think that he put out a call to action to the public, if he in fact did? Because that's what Ben Crump did. Okay, Ben Crump said if anybody has any information to come to them, but he wants to get the information first so he can filter through it. Okay, not so he can help with the investigation, because he really wants to sweep this under the rug, in my opinion. Now, many following the case have been waiting for the official autopsy findings, but authorities caution that toxicology testing is handled by outside laboratories and can take weeks to complete. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, I just wonder what's going to happen now that the FBI, and remember, this is Trump's FBI, okay, with Cash Patel, Small Change Patel, okay? Hold on, beloveds. Let me just pull this up really quick. Okay, this is taking forever to load, so I'm just going to go to this next video. Ben Crump was on PBS. And I'm going to pull that up. I don't know if the family was on there with him, because I haven't watched this. But let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. And I want you all to pay attention to how another big YouTuber just copies my talking points, copies my receipts. They'll go live on Nolan. And then, for example, the other day when I was calling out that girl who lied about saying, the one who sent the messages, posted those messages saying that Nolan, was at that pool party and all that stuff. And then when I told you all she lied about knowing his mother, and I didn't know what that was all about, but that makes her lose credibility to me. Well, then this other YouTuber who copies my stuff was over there saying, oh, yeah, after they just got through vouching for it now, okay, clearly believing it all, in my opinion. Then they come back after they watch my broadcast clearly and then start talking about, oh, well, she's lying and this, that, and the third. And the mother said she doesn't know her. I mean, if you're going to use my talking points and receipts, please just shout me out. Why don't you? Because that's what I do. That's what I do if I use someone's video or something like that.
Family members are pressing for answers in the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells in Mississippi. Wells disappeared during a 4th of July boat trip with a group of high school friends to an island off the Gulf Coast. Wells, who was black, was the only member of the group who did not return to the mainland. His body was found in the water days later. The friends he was traveling with are white. Authorities say there are no signs of foul play and that Wells drowned, though the investigation remains ongoing. His family is seeking an independent autopsy and calling for a full and transparent investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death.
I would hope that any parent who, God forbid, would be in our situation, I would hope that you would do the same thing. I would hope that you would ask for any help, receive any help to get answers, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to know. We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home. Like that's our biggest thing.
We're joined now by the family's attorney, Ben Crump. Mr. Crump, thank you for being with us. What's the latest you've heard from state or local officials about where the investigation stands and what they believe happened to Nolan Wells?
The only thing we've heard is what was suggested at the very beginning before any forensics was done. Seemed like before any interviews or interrogation of any of the witnesses who were on the boat, and that is they don't believe it's any foul play. They think it was an accidental drowning. That has been the suggestion. And that's very troubling for Christine and Elmore, the parents of Nolan Wells, as many of us in the Black community, because we believe that they are trying to sweep this matter under the rug, especially when you think about the history of the state of Mississippi when it comes to Black people being killed in highly questionable situations and nobody ever having any accountability.
local officials said that the friends are cooperating with the investigation. Is that true? And what explanation, if any, have his friends given for leaving the island without him?
You know, we don't know the level of cooperation the friends are engaging in because they all have retained attorneys. But what Nolan's family and friends feel like, had the roles been reversed and that these had been 3 young Black men and there was only 1 young white man and he ended up dead, that the investigation would be much more zealous, that there would be interrogations, they would be separated, they would be held for all kinds of crimes and misdemeanors until somebody started to talk, that they would challenge the narrative that has been presented, and that being that Nolan voluntarily said he's going to stay behind, and his parents and friends outright reject that. They said that is not of Nolan's character or disposition, and had he done so, would he have ever not wanted his cell phone? We're talking about an 18-year-old kid. And so many things are troubling and conflict when they listen to these narratives, try to explain why Nolan Wells went out with them on the boat. They all came back alive, and Nolan was washed up on the shore unalive.
You shared a photo on social media that appears to show Nolan Wells at a land-based pool party in Jackson County on July 5th. We have the photo there on the screen, and there's a red circle, and he is in one of those red circles. And now this was a day before he was found dead. How does this photo call the timeline into question?
Well, so many people, and that's the thing that gives us hope that we will finally get to the truth of what really happened, because so many young people are talking and they're sharing photographs and they're sharing videos and they're calling our call center and telling us that they were on Horn Island. And so I think the photograph that you're displaying is one that was presented to Nolan's mother and to my office that we shared on social media to simply say that if people have any information about who's in this photograph, when it was taken, where they were located at when they took this photograph, it would be very helpful, because there are many things in that photograph that we think can help build to what was the atmosphere on that July 4th weekend.
There are certainly at this point more questions than answers. What does his family, what does Nolan Wells' family want the public to understand about him beyond the circumstances of his untimely death?
You know, everybody, not just his mother and father, but everybody who's talked about Nolan Wells talks about what an angel of a person he was, how he was this gifted college football player, student athlete, how he was so considerate during school that he would always try to help people, no matter who they were. They said Nolan's smile would just brighten a room. They talked about how Nolan was a person who was responsible. So that's why they dispute him saying, I'm just going to stay on the island. And when you think about the conflict and the statements between the young lady he was talking to, who said he told her that he was going to get back into the boat with the boys. And then the boys said that Nolan said he was going to stay and talk with her. Obviously, the statements conflict with one another. And that's one of many contradictions and conflicts that are glaring in this case. And so we're just trying to ferociously search for the truth.
Attorney Ben Crump, thank you for.
All right. With that all being said, now let me read this comment. Drew Adams. is responding to Youngish Turnip, says, "You're going to be mad when it comes out. I'm right, laughing my A off." Here's the thing. No one's going to be mad. At the end of the day, even if it turns out that Nolan died from an accidental drowning, those young men still had something to do with it. Okay, I'm convinced. And here's the thing. Even if you think they didn't, well, I'm quite sure you saw all those other videos. You saw that TikTok of all the other Black people in recent weeks, not even a year ago, not 6 months ago, okay, but recent weeks, who have all died while out with their white friends at lakes. So your history, the pattern, okay, the history of the Klan, these MAGA type men such as yourself, you all have the same mindset. So no matter if you think this is a win, if it doesn't come out how we're thinking, but I'm pretty sure it will, but nonetheless, what about all of the rest? What about these people that look like me hanging from trees? We know they didn't do it to themselves. So you can sit there and say whatever you want and then say you just can't convict someone. Let's talk about this. You just can't convict someone because that's how you feel. Well, isn't that what y'all did about Carmelo Anthony? Ha! And now y'all look stupid like you are because now Mike Howard, the defense attorney, has come out and told the truth that Austin was the primary aggressor and that even the prosecutor said such. Okay? At the end of the day, that Austin and his brother were arrested for spreading racist graffiti. All right, they're just like their father, devils. Please pay attention. So, what do you have to say about that? And in fact, no, he stabbed someone in the heart. Oh, okay. Well, at the end of the day, the person that he stabbed in the heart was the aggressor, like I said. And I know you think that Black people don't have a right to defend ourselves against people like you, but you're going to F around and find out because at the end of the day, we have the same rights as you, even though you don't want us to. Okay. But stand your ground should be for everybody, not just people who look like you. Okay, please pay attention. All right, we're all going to be defending ourselves regardless. And I don't believe or condone violence unless it's in defense of yourself or someone else. But that's not what people like you think, is it? It absolutely isn't. And I'm going to block you because you are a troll. Because if you don't agree with what we're talking about, why are you here? Go watch this guy named Ringo Reactions because he's a whole raccoon. He may look like us, but he's not like us. He's a whole raccoon. And he talks the talk that you want to hear. So go to his channel with your BS. Now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let's get the likes up. Okay, so now the next thing I want to share is Don Lemon interviewed former judge and current attorney Carlos Moore. Okay, the former judge who went viral just days ago for sharing his thoughts on the Nolan Wells case. Okay, so I'm going to share that, but I'm going to use an overlay because I don't have permission. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share, and thank you in advance. I don't know why these MAGA minions come on here because I don't like them and I don't like Trump and they're never welcome. Duh. How many times do I have to say it? They're always going to be blocked, period. Unlike some people, I don't keep trolls in here just for clicks and views. I don't care what they say. They're irrelevant to me. I don't care what they think or any of that. And I don't want to engage them because they're just worthless, in my opinion.
Lemon Live at 5. We're so glad that you could join us today at 5 o'clock because we have been following a story that has captured the nation's attention. Finally, we have been on this since the very beginning, as you know, if you are part of the Lemon Nation. And now folks are saying, hey, you're going to be seeing this young man's face and hearing his name a lot more. Okay, welcome to the party, everyone. I want to tell you guys, make sure you hit the like and the thumbs up. And I want to thank you for helping us to add context to this story, helping us to be able to get justice and transparency for the Wells-Wansley family. They are going through a lot right now. They have just lost their son of 18 years. And so we have an update from you from a judge that we have been talking about on this show and who happened to be in our chat this morning. So make sure you hit the like and the thumbs up. It does affect the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation in our channel. But we're going to get to the bottom of it. What may be going on, especially with someone who knows. Now, I want to play this.
Hold on, let me tell you all something really quick. Speaking of Ringo reaction, okay, this dude, he's such a raccoon. Okay, but anyway, he did a video basically saying that black people are only supporting Nolan because we don't know that he isn't black. He said that his mother's Filipino and so is he, and that his father is not his father because they don't even have the same last name. First of all, here's the thing. Christine Wansley, her maiden name is Wells. Okay, I'm sorry. Wells is not a Filipino last name. Her father is as dark as I am, if not darker. I follow her father on Facebook, and he is black, okay, American. With that all being said, she's half and half. And I thought she was Cambodian, not Filipino. But nonetheless, she's still half black, okay? And Nolan is black. I don't care what anybody says. And also, here's the thing. Even if Nolan weren't black, okay, we would still be going in for him. That's the thing. And then he had the audacity to say that the ones of us going in are just doing it for monetization, clicks, and views. What the hell is he doing it for? The same thing. That's what he's doing it for, to appease his white audience. That's what he's doing it for. At the end of the day, most of us are doing it for passion because we want to defend our people when we feel like they're right and they have not gotten justice. That's how that goes. It was the same thing with Carmelo Anthony. And the last thing I want to say is this. At the end of the day, you know, he said that we don't like white people. That's why we're going in or whatever. It's not about that because I do like white people. I just don't like the racist, low down, dirty MAGA man types. That's what I don't like. Okay? Please pay attention. So he needs to sit down somewhere. This dude is a whole raccoon. Okay? And any person that looks like me that's supporting him, they must be raccoons too. But let's continue.
Let me just tell you who it is. We'll bring him up. Hi, Judge. This is Judge Carlos Moore. He's an attorney and a former Mississippi judge. Glad to have you, sir. Thank you so much. I have so much to ask you.
Thanks for having me, Don.
Yeah. So I want to play this, and then I want to hear from you. This is you earlier this week talking about what you think is going on and what should have happened by now.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready?
So there are a lot of things that's been alleged. Once put into the correct format, affidavit-wise, it could lead to arrest for several things, including misdemeanors and maybe even felonies. So there's a lot left to do. We are not rushing to judgment, but I just thought I would come on here and tell you that there definitely should be search warrants issued by now, and there could be arrest warrants for certain crimes issued by now. But for the ultimate crime of murder, it is probably wise to wait to see what the autopsy reveals, or the both autopsies reveal, and then.
Let me pause for a second, okay? Karaya says, sounds like Django. Yeah, that's what his name should be, Django Reactions. Please pay attention. And here's the thing. He was showing some receipts where she was supposedly at some Filipino events or some, he was showing proof that she's Filipino, basically, right? But he didn't show anything about her being half black. I find that interesting. But she was at some, supposedly went to some festival for Filipinos or whatever. Here's the thing. If that's part of her heritage, what's the problem with her going? Okay, what's the problem with her going? You should celebrate both your sides, your ancestral sides, your lineages. Okay, like Naomi Osaka. All right, are we supposed to think that she should not celebrate her Japanese side at the end of the day because she's Haitian as well? Like, they need to sit down somewhere. That's all I'm saying. They know their time is running out. That's what that is. It's Me says trolls mad because we're exposing their people. Exactly. Okay, they try to say reverse racism and all kinds of foolishness and play the victims when we call them out on their own BS.
Parcel that together with all the video footage, all the witness statements taken, any affidavits gathered, and then make a decision, get it all to a judge at that point for a judge to decide whether or not to sign a warrant for the arrest of one or more individuals.
And then, Judge, so you said there is some evidence or things that could have been done as far as arrest warrants, as you said, and other things. I also found this. Well, let's talk about that. Why hasn't any of that happened? Because you mentioned some things about having the phone, because they were saying we don't know if it was him or his friend who was in the altercation on the beach. The friend says it was him, meaning the friend, and it was not Nolan. But why would they have the friend's phone, and why would they have Nolan's phone? And is that something that there can be a subpoena for, or an arrest for, or what?
Yeah, Don, I do believe that the theft is the low-hanging fruit here, and that we can clearly hear someone saying, "Give me my freaking phone back." That appears to be, by those that know Nolan, appears to be his voice. And so someone had his phone, and there seemed to be other people around. So people know who had that man's phone and had it unlawfully.
The friend is saying it wasn't him, though. Just so you know, the friend is saying that it wasn't Nolan. It was him, who is the friend, who has been speaking to the media. But still, someone had Nolan's phone.
Okay,
oh,
but it's
say again.
I said, is that friend a decoy? I understand that they have put two brown or black individuals have come forward out of the friend group, but none of the white individuals have come forward out of the friend group. So that they put them up to allay our fears under duress. So we don't know.
I believe that's exactly what the devils did. Isn't that what I told you all? Okay, we will not be fooled. That's what we won't be. Okay, why did they put the two black friends out there and have them in front of the media? So that would make us all relax and say, hey, wait a minute. They're saying that it wasn't him. They're saying that it didn't have anything to do with race. Even his black friends are saying it didn't have anything to do with race. We're not falling for the BS, okay? We're not falling for the BS, because if you ask me, Javon and Trayston are raccoons. Let's continue.
If they're telling the truth or not. Anyone can get on television and say anything, but they were not sworn. That was not sworn testimony. So I'm not satisfied until I hear sworn testimony if it's in affidavit format, and people are saying stuff freely and not under duress. Because the so-proclaimed best friend, I think his name was Tristan or something similar, the family said they've never seen the boy. So I would know my child's best friend. If they were that close, I would have seen him at some point in their lifetime. And so that's very, very odd there. Another thing I wanted to share with you, Don, is that in Mississippi, the Sheriff's Department provides security for the judges. So in Jackson County, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department would be providing security and bailiffs for Judge Ashley Cole's courtroom. So I see a glaring conflict of interest there. And I believe that the sheriff should probably recuse himself if one of the last people to see Nolan Wells alive is her stepson. That to me is a problem because normally that would be a person of interest and could potentially become something more if the evidence reveal that. And your employees are providing security for the judge's office. I don't know how you can do a very thorough investigation. That's why I have been asking certain questions and saying, why has no one gone after the low-hanging fruit? And so we need a independent investigatory agency coming in to investigate this or to supplement what the sheriff is doing, because I have a lot of concerns about what's going on and what's not going on there.
So what's the low-hanging fruit? Explain to us.
The low-hanging fruit is what the allegations and testimony that I've heard just through what people have said through the media. If that bears out to be true, you have the theft of the phone. You also have underage drinking. So you have minors drinking. You have someone that contributed to the delinquency of minors by providing the alcohol. One of the friends said that some of the people in the group were known to do a certain drug, and they intimated it was a legal drug. They did not name the drug, but it could be surmised that it's a legal drug. Those.
Bet Don's probably sitting there thinking, darn, I wish he wouldn't keep saying rugs with a D. But let's continue.
All crimes that someone could be held accountable for. And if it's drug use, drug possession, paraphernalia possession, even it needs to be investigated for drug trafficking or whatever. So none of that has been investigated. And I do know that if the roles were reversed in this instance, any crime that they could have arrested a black or brown boy for as they search for the truth of the ultimate crime of murder, they would have done that and used that as a pressure point to try to get to the ultimate truth.
I'm sorry, didn't I tell you all of that? Hashtag you heard it here first, folks. I told you all the same thing. All right, please pay attention. That's exactly what you're supposed to do, okay? It's exactly what you do. You put pressure on them, squeeze them, okay? And so you get what you want out of them because pretty soon they'll start talking real quick. And also, don't forget the case that I told you all about just on yesterday with the white teenagers who lured this young lady, 16 years old, out into the woods and killed her, and then went on to school and like everything was fine, had a whole wall of deception built up. All right, lying the whole time. But as soon as one of them got caught, one of them went in for questioning or whatever, they had the pressure on them. They started spilling everything. That's how they ended up getting prison time.
And that's not been done in this instance. And my question is why?
We know why.
Judge, if you can be more specific, because in the video you are specific about you don't believe that the process and even the protocol for things like this, that it has been followed, because if a judge gets something, you said in affidavit form, I'm not a legal expert, but you said if a judge gets something in affidavit form, they're likely to sign an affidavit to bring someone in for questioning or to arrest or any of those things. What do you think? What are specifically are those things, and what has gone wrong in your estimation here?
In my opinion, there's normally a swift investigation that the officers interview certain witnesses, certain people of interest, and they gather their statements, and then the officer signs an affidavit, presents it to the judge, and then the judge either signs an arrest warrant or he signs the search warrant. A lot of the times, the search warrant comes first so they can get other vital information. And so in this instance, I would love to have seen a search warrant for the boat that some witnesses say was being cleaned at 3 a.m. On the morning of July the 5th. That should have been immediately been seized after a search warrant was gathered from a judge. Social media accounts of everyone, the last seen with Nolan, including the three that was on the boat in the picture with them, Katie's phone, social media accounts, and if that's Snapchat, if that's Facebook, if that's Meta, whoever, there are certain mechanisms that subpoenas or a search warrant signed by a judge could get access to that information. And so I have not learned that any of that has been done. It has been revealed in the public. So when the sheriff said that no foul play was suspected, that led me to believe that there may not be an active investigation. And that's why I started asking questions, because all of the things here seem to be very suspicious. And for him to come out 2 days after the death, or maybe 1 day after the body was found, and say no foul play was suspected, that was very odd to me. And it showed to me that he could be potentially biased, or maybe.
And let me tell you, he definitely is biased in my opinion, because here's the thing. I want you all to think about how this sheriff coming out saying that so quickly. Okay, first of all, what makes him think that there's no foul play when Nolan was unrecognizable? He was unrecognizable. Now, like I told you all this morning, that could happen if you're submerged in water and the different stages of decomposition start to take place, and depending on the humidity, the heat, temperature, and all of those things, the elements, that could all play a role in it. But let's not forget, he wasn't waterlogged, okay, according to the Cajun Navy. All right, so why was he really unrecognizable? I have several questions. All right, now you could be unrecognizable even if the corpse could be unrecognizable even if it wasn't waterlogged, but that's not the norm. Okay, that's not the norm. That would be a rare occasion.
Having tunnel vision because of someone he may want to protect. And so
hold on, one more thing. I'm not going to keep stopping, but you all just noticed that he said tunnel vision. Isn't that what I told you all yesterday? Yeah, that is. That's what I told you all yesterday. When the police get tunnel vision, they're not going to do a thorough investigation because they're going to be zeroed in on one aspect. They're not going to examine all of the different options or viable things that they should be investigating, because tunnel vision keeps them focused on only one thing or one person, just like I told you all yesterday. Okay, so please pay attention.
And he may not want to protect anybody, but there's always going to be a cloud of suspicion under the sheriff when he has to protect the judge. And one of her kinfolks is potentially a person of interest, and that's being generous.
Why are women everywhere choosing Abby X, the new tummy tuck alternative?
Have you seen this happen? Well, you said let me play this. Let me play this from you. And it's also another reason that you're speaking out.
I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night. And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process, and we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug. I will call your hand. I will call your hand. You are not going to play these people for a fool. You are not going to play these people for a fool. We know the process, and we know what you should be doing. And by God, I plan to make sure you do it, or we're going to call you out each and every time. There is a process. What I do know is, had the roles been reversed, by now, there would likely have been already arrests made. It wouldn't have taken all 6 days, 7 days, whatever the amount of days it's going to take. Had the roles been reversed, justice, the wheels of justice spin quickly.
Why'd you say that?
I have countless examples. When I practiced in Mississippi, I can give you one very specific example that happened probably 10 years ago in 2016. There was a young Black man who went to work and left accidentally his child, 8-month-old child, in a hot car, and the child died. 100 days before that, there had been a white woman who did the same thing. She was never arrested, never charged for anything, never indicted. My client, who I represented pro bono after he was arrested, was immediately, the same day that child died, was immediately arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The same offense, but different race, different gender, and she got the benefit of the doubt, but my client, and his reaction was caught on camera. He was hysterical when he found out he had done the unthinkable. But yet they showed no mercy for him initially, and were bound and determined to send him to prison for making the same mistake that the white woman had made 100 miles down the road. And because I was not going to let him get railroaded, I represented him pro bono. We kept him out of prison. They were insisting on prison time. They finally decreased it to culpable negligence manslaughter, and said if he pled to that he would not have to go to prison. And he could not risk the trial until he decided to go ahead and plead. So he has a felony on this record now. The white lady has nothing, but he stayed out of prison. He went ahead and got married and has a family with other kids now. But these people have done this time and time again. And so I knew I can see it all the way from here in Atlanta that they're going to do the same thing in this instance if we did not call their hands. And so I'm here to let them know we're watching and we are praying, but we know how you are in Mississippi. And it takes a Mississippian to know a Mississippian. I may be living in Georgia, but I was born and raised in that same county. I know the players, and we are not going to let you get away with this. If something was done awry that led to the death of Nolan Wells, you best believe the folks responsible will need to pay the piper. Now, if it was just an accidental drowning, we can live with that if the evidence shows that, but the suspicious actions lead one to believe at this point that it was not an accidental drowning. Because I know no one, when someone dies by accident, that lawyers up immediately. People every summer die of an accident or accidental drowning, but how many folks go hire a lawyer for that? You're simply a witness. You tell what happened. They got in there. That was a strong current, and you have no reason to fear that you're going to prison for telling that.
That's right.
But if something awry has gone on, you have a right to remain silent, and you usually remain silent for good reason, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. There may be something that you say that could point towards you, so you want to remain quiet. But if my child, I have 2 children, if any one of them saw one of their friends drown, I'm not lawyering up for that if they had nothing to do with it. I mean, times are too hard, gas is too expensive, milk is too expensive to be paying for lawyers unnecessarily. So you can act stupid if you want to.
absolutely love it. Okay, this man is telling them the business. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Absolutely telling them the business. Okay, please pay attention. It's all about to go down, and I can't wait till we get to the bottom of it. Now, like he said, if it was an accidental drowning, we can live with that. But the bottom line is, they have done too many things that were suspicious. Now, I told you all a whole list of things that they did that was suspicious. It was over 20 things that I named, okay? Now, I'm sure the judge could probably name more than that, but let's continue.
But I know the game. The jig is up. I'm sick and tired, as Fannie Lou Hamer said, of being sick and tired. You will not get away with this. If anything was done wrong, I don't care if you're the district attorney that works with the judge. I don't care if you're the sheriff that works with the judge. We will not rest until the independent, unbiased law enforcement agency gets in here and investigate this properly. As I said, tick tock, we are fed up.
Wow. Because when you look at the actions, you talked about the sheriff a little bit. When you look at the actions of a sheriff, and this is not to condemn anyone, but considering how he's handled it, he said they're not going to be pushed to rush, or so, I'm paraphrasing here. He's done limited interviews. I've only seen him with, certain people and certain outlets. His office doesn't really return phone calls. It's just not a very transparent thing. Now, I know that they're busy and they have things to do, and I don't think that I think that I'm ABC News or anything. But what I think he doesn't understand is that we're in a digital streaming social media time. Social media is what brought this story to the fore. Legacy media did not. And I think that when he is out here asking the people, the public, through the media to respond, we put the number up every single day on this on our newsletter. He's asking us for help, but he's not helping us do our job. So what do you make of how the sheriff is handling this?
I'm not satisfied with the way he's handling it. I think it's performative. After I went live on Sunday and said the sheriff needs to let us know if there's a real investigation, because I thought that he may not be calling it an investigation because he wanted to allow people to continue to be able to do what they want to do with evidence. If there's no investigation, you can scrub evidence, destroy stuff, and say, honestly, I was not under investigation, so I thought I could do what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's a problem because, like I told you all, the sheriff, that is, they supposedly wanted Nolan's phone from his parents, but they didn't go get the white boy's phones. Why haven't they collected that boat? I have several questions. Why weren't they even curious as to why the friends contacted the Cajun Navy and the Coast Guard? Now, I didn't even know until yesterday that they had actually called the Cajun Navy. Don't y'all find that interesting? Why would they be calling people that do search and rescue missions if they didn't know that Nolan was dead? Okay, why would they have been doing that? Why did the friend, when the father went to pick him up or pick up the keys, why did he refer to Nolan in past tense and his body hadn't even been found yet? Nolan was like a brother to me. Was. Beverly White, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
But now that he's gone forward, he came forward on Monday and said there was an investigation and the district attorney is assisting. People should be on notice not to be obstructing justice and destroying evidence. I hope they have enough sense at this point. He gave them a good week or so to do whatever they wanted to do, but now he's gone to say that there is an investigation. But then he qualified that to say that still doesn't mean someone is suspected of a crime. So he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth. As I said before, if you can't do your job fairly and unbiasedly, step aside. I know you're the elected sheriff, but there are other people that can be appointed that don't know this judge, don't know her stepson, don't know the other folks accused, and come in there and do a fair job. I call on the Commissioner of Public Safety, Sean Tyndall, who is from the Gulf Coast. He's over public safety in Mississippi, to bring in the MBI to investigate this fairly. Get some people that's twice removed from the situation and come in there and investigate it fairly. It is evident to me, and I'm way in Atlanta, that neither the district attorney, when the sitting judge is there making public statements, albeit that may be unethical, she's just blatantly doing what she wants to do. People are not going to just easily go arrest people that may be related to her, even if the shoe fits. They don't want to wear it. they don't want them to wear it too soon. So I'm not condemning anybody. I'm just saying that you have to avoid the appearance of impropriety. Not only the impropriety, but the appearance of impropriety. That's for judges. And you need to, for law enforcement to be trusted, you need to avoid the appearance of biasness. And so if your deputies are protecting a judge 5 days a week, and you think somebody just gonna believe you're gonna up and go arrest one of her family members if the evidence led that way, I just don't see it.
Hold on, I have to address this. D Major said Don Lemon is one of the greatest journalists of our times. D Major, if you don't sit your arse down somewhere. Okay, now I like Don Lemon, but beloved, he is not, in my opinion, one of the greatest journalists of our time. Now that's your opinion, but at the end of the day, I would have to say Ida B. Wells. Okay, a fearless investigative reporter and civil rights activist who risked her life to expose the horrors of the lynchings in the American South during the Jim Crow era, honey. Please pay attention. As you can see, when I play my intro with all of the Black revolutionaries, she's one of them, and that's why. Okay, Don Lemon pales in comparison, but let me continue.
I'm not comfortable that would occur no time soon.
Listen up, parents. Want to start building generational wealth and happiness for your children?
No, so you said something, we had folks on in the beginning, even in our editorial meetings, Judge, and they said, if I didn't have anything to do with it, I would be talking to law enforcement. And I said, well, I don't know if that's a smart idea, because usually they'll tell you, but if you don't have anything to do with it, I don't know. Do you think that these young people, anyone there, you think just by them lawyering up that is some indication of possible guilt?
I can only tell you what I would do with my own family. If I would have first evaluated what my family member told me, I would know, being a lawyer and a former judge, whether or not what they told me is criminal or potentially criminal. And once I evaluated it, if I thought that they could potentially be held or found guilty in a court of law, I would advise them to exercise their Fifth Amendment right and remain silent. And
hold on, let me say this. Essential Oil Queen says, I'm sure those folks haven't slept since July the 5th. Too busy covering up shite. Exactly, beloved. I absolutely agree. And thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But hold on, because Don is acting as though the only shady thing they did was hire attorneys, lawyer up. No. Let me just go through the list again real quick. First of all, they kept his phone and car keys and wallet. Okay, didn't return them immediately to his parents. And mind you, the lamestream media, legacy media, tried to portray it to us as though they voluntarily went and gave those items, or at least the phone, to his mother. No, she had to track it and then send someone to go and retrieve it. When the father went to get the keys, they lied and tried to act like they didn't know where they were. Okay. Then the fact that they didn't come out and offer any condolences, didn't post anything on social media about the death of their so-called good friend Nolan, but they instead deactivated their social medias. Okay. There's that. All right. And then the sheriff coming out immediately talking about, they suspect no foul play, accidental. Please, not before even doing a thorough investigation. All right. What else did they do? Tampering with evidence by the fact that they had the phone of Nolan's, and when the mother got it back, things were deleted. That's absolutely tampering with evidence. Why would you be deleting things out of his phone? All right, please pay attention. And the fact that they contacted the Coast Guard and the Cajun Navy. Why would they do that unless they knew something was wrong? Okay, and a whole myriad of things. Judge Cole issuing those statements for damage control. Katie Hudson, Warren's mom, made statements as well. Okay, his biological mom and his stepmom, the judge. All right, Javion going on TMZ to try to change or control the narrative. Okay, with that being said, I'm sorry, there's a whole lot of things. The cops and the media spewing the narrative, okay, using the same accusatory words, okay, saying that Nolan chose to stay behind. They didn't leave him. Nolan chose to stay behind. That's what they said. Now, they should have been saying that as if it were factual. They should have been saying that witnesses or his friends told us. But just because they said it doesn't make it set in stone, doesn't mean that it's factual. Okay, so I don't think they should have been painting that narrative. But pay attention, because the MAGA minions aren't talking about that. They're only talking about what we're saying.
Lawyer up. But if what they told me, and I evaluated and I didn't think it could potentially be a crime, I would not be lawyering up. I wouldn't be spending any money, and I would allow them to talk as a regular witness to the law enforcement. And so only the people that's a trained legal professional know why they would advise certain things. I'm telling you from personal experience after being in the legal field for a quarter of a century nearly, if my family members came and told me, I'm going to evaluate it myself, and I would know whether or not they need to retain a lawyer or exercise the Fifth Amendment right. If there's nothing there, I'm not going to waste my hard-earned money or tell them to lawyer up. Other people may have money to burn. That's not my case. That's not the lens from which I see this, or my perch.
So some of the people, some of his friends have been speaking out, and I want to play some of that. But first, I want to get a break in and get a word from our sponsors, and we're back with the judge. You know what's funny? People assume because I'm out interviewing people, traveling, or getting ready for a live show that everything else just stops. It doesn't.
Something has been a young Black man. That is not by coincidence. It's especially questionable because none of the young men that he was last seen with were Black on the boat. So why are we not hearing from the boys who were on the boat? I also want to say that I would rather be wrong a million times over than to let a place like Mississippi do their own investigation when we understand the historical context of Mississippi. I'm speaking from my own lived experience as someone who went to a high school that has a similar racial makeup as where Nolan Wells was living. This is a tactic they often use when they want to blame a Black person for something and they want to prove their point. They put other Black kids or Black boys, Black men in front of you to.
Isn't that what I also told you all? I said Javon doesn't even realize they're using him. Okay, they're using him, putting him out there, and if it doesn't go their way, he'll be the one to blame. Okay, please pay attention. And the MAGA minions have already been saying in people's comment sections, what about Javon? I think he had something to do with it. Well, I'm sure you would want to say he had something to do with it because he's Black. Okay, let's continue.
To say something different so that you'll believe what they're saying. And I'm not saying that some of the information that is being put out there on social media is not misinformation, but what I am saying is we could hear directly from the source instead of people who claim to be his friends. I also just cannot fathom a world in which someone who is a friend would be actively working against your friend's parents who are seeking justice for their child by saying things like, well, I know some of them were on substances and maybe Nolan was peer pressured into doing substances when you've never seen him do substances before. Or firmly say that you don't believe that anyone would do anything to harm Nolan Wells when you see that his parents are still actively asking for answers that they are not getting. I just also want to remind us that one of the mothers of the children who were on the boat is a judge. And what we do know is that if this does go to trial because some funny money has happened like we think it has, then it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And what they're doing right now is trying to create reasonable doubt in the event that this goes to trial. And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but what I am saying is that Ben Crump is doing what he's supposed to do by trying to force them to give the truth about what happened, because they could have already done that. So if they want the misinformation to not be out there because it is concerning their safety, then they would clear up the rumors and tell the truth.
Okay, look, there's a lot of folks who are on the internet, as many people as who are on the internet that's on many different opinions. But he's saying he's operating from his experience, right? And you're operating from yours. What do you make of what that young man is saying?
I believe he's right on. He hit the nail on the head. It's all performative. I do feel bad for those two Black boys they put out in front of the camera while the white boys get to stay hidden. They are the ones that were last known to be around Nolan. They are the ones that lawyered up. They are the ones that are refusing to even do a press conference. Or forget talking to the police. Why can't you go talk to the press? That shouldn't be any pressure. Tell what you saw, what you know. If you didn't do anything, if he fell off a boat or did this and accidentally drowned, I don't see the big deal People know accidents happen. So it's just very suspicious. And why wouldn't you be searching for the young man on Sunday morning instead of having breakfast together like nothing is awry? So if someone called at 11 p.m. to the Coast Guard the night before, they knew evidently that he may have been missing. So why at the break of dawn you were not out there looking for your friend? It's beyond me. But I know they can try to start prejudicing, making sure the jury is biased ahead of time. And so just in case there is a potential trial. And so I believe that young man hit the nail on the head. And I've said this before, and I say it again here to you, Don. The extent of racism in Mississippi has no parallel. There is the South, and then there is Mississippi. It has no equal. It is so extremely wicked. They will go to any extent. D. Monterio Gibson was a black man that worked for FedEx, was chased by two white men, shot at, almost killed. He was going to testify against if he lived.
Now, you all remember that I reported on D. Monterio, okay? And Michi X actually interviewed him and his family, okay? Please pay attention. This is where this all happened to him in Mississippi.
Miraculously, and could identify the white father and son duo that chased him with the gun, almost killing him. They came up with some kind of scheme, I believe, and figured out a way where some brown investigator messed up the investigation, where the judge said he had no choice but to acquit the guys, dismiss the case against them with prejudice, where they would never stand trial for attempted murder, aggravated assault of a young black man. Had the roles been reversed and it had been a white driver and a black father and a son shooting a white driver, they would be under the jail by now. So when you hear me being fed up, because I know the system, I know the games they play, it's as crooked as it can be. It needs to be washed from top to bottom. Washed from top to bottom.
I'm going to ask you explicitly, and I think I know the answer, but you haven't said it. Do you think race is a factor in what happened to him? And if not, is race a factor? I think that's what you're saying. It's obviously in what is happening in the investigation. There's two different questions. You think race played into what happened to him? And we don't know, but you've seen the investigation.
I believe that it's possible that race played a factor in what happened to him. I believe it plays a factor in so many people remaining quiet. I know that if the roles were reversed, people would not be this quiet, or they would not suddenly have amnesia. I do believe that justice is being delayed because of the race, and justice delayed is justice denied in my book. So race plays a huge part in the criminal justice system. I can't find any other reason for the examples I've given you tonight, and that's just two of many I could give you besides race. And so in this instance, we know that justice can be applied swiftly when they want to. And I am 100% certain that had the roles been reversed in this case, there would have been arrest by now of 3 black boys that came back to land in Mississippi, and a white boy went missing. I'm 100% certain, based on my experience, my lived experiences in Mississippi for many, many years and many.
Hold on, I want to ask someone in the chat something. Eyes to see in the chat. Beloved, would you like for me to drop the link so you can get up here and explain what you're talking about? Because I noticed you keep saying something about his mom, Nolan's mother, being in a sorority, and then you said his mother was in a sorority with the judge. Well, here's the thing. The judge did say that she knew his mom from high school. Okay, I don't know if they're in a sorority together or not, but even if they are, who cares? What does that have to do with this? What does that have to do with this? I would like to know what you're trying to imply. I think I might know, because I've heard some other people say that, and they got it from the MAGA minions. Okay, but here's the thing. There's no proof of that you have. If you have proof of that, let's get up here. I can drop you the link if you'd like, if you can substantiate your allegation, okay? Because I've not found any proof of that, and trust me, I looked. And not that it mattered to me, but I just wanted to know why the MAGA minions were putting that out there. You see, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention, Black people. When these sorts of things happen and the eyes are looking at the white people having done some sort of injustice possibly to a Black person, they immediately start trying to change and control the narrative, as I told you all so many times. And so what they're doing in this case is now you have people like Ringo Reaction a raccoon. And then you have MAGA minions as well, talking about his mother is Filipino. She doesn't identify as Black. Okay, so are y'all trying to turn us against her? Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. But it's not going to work because regardless, we still want justice for Nolan Wells. Second of all, they have been saying things about his mother being in a sorority with the judge. Who cares? Trying to act as though this was some sort of ritual or for an initiation to a sorority that she's already in. How does that even make sense? It's more like if it is anything other than an accidental drowning, then it would lean more towards a Klan initiation ritual, in my opinion, since it was conducted on July the 4th, like the rest of them that I showed you all. Okay, so there's that. I mean, at the end of the day, you're sitting there putting, oh, his mom is in a sorority with the judge and putting laughing emojis. Okay, I don't know if you're a person of my skin tone or not, but at the end of the day, you know, if you don't want justice for Nolan, why are you here? Okay, because you look and sound obtuse. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and block.
Decades that they would be in jail now for some crime. It may not be murder, but some lesser offense that would have led them to put pressure until someone broke and told exactly what happened.
Another question, just more explicit. In you said what should happen. You said how things usually happen when presented a case like this to a judge to put pressure. How things should happen. What would you do? What do you think should be done right now? What would you like to see being done right now?
I would like to see someone brought in. I would like suspects declared. I would like, at least for the low-hanging fruit, to be dealt with. I would have signed, as I said before, I would have signed an arrest warrant for theft, because I do believe that is Nolan's voice, regardless of what any person they put before us said. I think that there's enough other witnesses will say that Nolan at some point was in an altercation with somebody and someone had his phone unlawfully. I would also want to know why a person had his phone that did not willingly turn it over to the parents without them having to go search for it. That
Exactly. Now, let me address this comment. Dixie Dog said, I want justice for Nolan. However, I do not think this is racially motivated, as they had been friends since freshman year and had been going out there for a year. Well, here's the thing about that, beloved. I'm sure you should know that some of your people, they can be friends or act as though they're friends of people who look like me. They can know us for years and still take us off somewhere and take our lives. Okay, all of those people that I showed, I don't know if you came in at the beginning of the broadcast, beloved, but I actually showed a TikTok video where I showed all of the recent drownings, accidental drownings of Black people while they were in the company of their own white friends. And it was only Black people. They were the only Black people there. Okay. And at the end of the day, they knew those people for years too. They thought those people were their friends too. You see, the fact of the matter is, it really doesn't matter. And I have a friend that I've known since high school, her own son. Okay, a few years ago, back in 2020, and I've told you all about this before, her own son thought that some people were his friends, a group of white boys, 5 of them, invited him over after knowing them for quite some time, and invited him over one day. Okay, he'd been with them many times and nothing ever happened. But that one day, they invited him over and they put something in his drink. He woke up in their basement with his pants down to his knees. He stood up and something ran out of his backside. When he cut on the lights, he saw there were funnels and alcohol everywhere, where they had obviously put that up his rear to make him intoxicated, not to mention they put something else in his drink prior to, and they all had gang R-worded him. Now, this young man was so disturbed that his mother had to sign him up for psychiatric counseling. He didn't even tell my friend that this happened. He didn't even tell her this. He told the counselor, and the counselor ended up telling his mother. Okay, so with that all being said, I know you want to think that this wasn't about race, but as far as I'm concerned, I won't believe that until we get those autopsy reports. And I know that no matter how good of a friend some of us think some of these people are, they absolutely have nefarious intentions. And like I tell people all the time, okay, and that goes for whatever race or ethnic group you belong to. Sometimes you have people that pretend to be your best friends and they want to sit there right beside you as you're moving along through life, but it's not to be a cheerleader. It's actually so they can have a front row seat to your demise. All right. And that's what I think Nolan's friends did. Now, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but we will see. Okay, let's continue. But thank you for your comment.
person is an extreme person of interest to me. And so The people that were cleaning that boat need to be investigated. So there's several things that if it was properly brought before me, I would not have problems signing search warrants for various things, as well as one or more arrest warrants. So in this instance, that's not being done. I've never sat on the bench in that jurisdiction, but I sat on the bench in 2 separate jurisdictions in Mississippi, and I'm telling you what I would have done had it been presented to me by law enforcement by now. And there's a reason it's not being done here. I believe they're intentionally trying to have tunnel vision. They don't want to look towards certain people. And the light is becoming ever more glaring on certain individuals that they are going to refuse to the last second to believe that they could have done something so heinous as what may have gone on here. I don't believe that boy went no swim on no island by himself in the middle of the night. I don't believe someone that was raised by his father to stay with the group and had never altered from that would do that at the last moment and end up dead. And
Yeah, I absolutely don't believe that either. I just don't believe it because it doesn't make sense. Okay. I just don't believe that. And at the end of the day, here's the thing. I would hope that all that happened was that he accidentally drowned. Because for those of you who were in for the morning broadcast, I told you all that someone from Mississippi, okay, told me some information that is so nefarious. I absolutely hope that's not what happened. All right. Now, after the autopsy comes out, depending on what it says, maybe I'll tell you and maybe I won't, because I'm hoping that that is not even true. But let's continue.
I do believe that had it been something truly accidental, people would have immediately said that and not lawyered up. And so people are entitled, they're innocent until proven guilty, but you can't prove them guilty if you don't do a thorough investigation. And so I'm simply asking to do a very thorough, unbiased investigation. And I believe that people, it's evident, can't do it, that's in charge now, and that we need to bring in some reinforcements, another agency independently to handle the investigation.
Judge, I want you to stand by because I want to bring someone in. It's Joe Colin Jefferson, a civil and human rights attorney and founder and president of Julian, a civil and human rights nonprofit focusing on litigation, policy, tech, and organizing for survivors of discrimination. Ms. Jefferson, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it in this very important subject and you fight for other individuals who have been in questionable situations and who you feel have been discriminated against. As you are listening to this, I just asked the judge here if he thinks race was involved, and he said absolutely. He's told me everything that he's told me. He believes that it was involved. What do you say, Ms. Jefferson?
I say that you have to investigate this independently, that you have to leave all assumptions at the door, that you have to go where the evidence leads you, that you have to question every angle. And so often people jump to assumptions. That's the problem with these investigations in the first place. Police jump to assumptions. So it doesn't help if we jump to assumptions. We have to actually independently investigate this and not just go and look at what is independently corroborated, not just what the narrative is, but what can be corroborated.
Yeah. And we look for that information. I think I said this morning that where there's no information, people fill the void. Someone is going to fill the void and they're going to come up with things, assumptions on the internet. I just feel, and this is me, that there's been a lack of transparency in the investigation and beating back some of the things that happen to not be true or some of the conspiracies around this, Ms. Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about, in terms of a lack of transparency, something you have to realize is that police forces in Mississippi don't have the capabilities or usually the training of police officers, police forces in bigger areas.
Okay, I'm sorry, but this lady is starting to sound like a whole raccoon. Are y'all paying attention? She's starting to sound like a whole raccoon. Where's she going with this?
And so part of the problem we get to with these cases, they actually don't know how to investigate them. So I
said that this morning of everything that you're saying about, I said they need to try to figure out, bring in a crisis PR person and get some sort of comms or something. But look, that's besides the point. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So a lot of times there could be a lack of transparency. I'm not saying there isn't, But oftentimes what looks like a lack of transparency is simply incompetence. And so what Julian has done, we've actually drafted new standard operating procedures for police in these cases so that they know how to investigate potential lynchings.
Okay, Helena says this judge was disbarred in Mississippi for putting funds from a wrongful death case into his firm's account and not the family's, $300,000. Well, do you have proof of that? Because the last I checked, he was actually banned from practicing in Mississippi. Actually, he had retired. Okay, he had retired, but he was banned from Mississippi because he made a comment about Cal Rittenhouse. Okay, after the verdict, not before, like Alicia Cole, but after the verdict. He posted on social media something about Cal Rittenhouse. And yes, I said Rittenhouse. Okay. So there's that. And also, even if that were true, which I don't believe it is, but even if it were, what does that have to do with what he said on Don Lemon's show? Because I feel like he's absolutely correct. Let's continue.
So we're going to talk about some of the other cases and what Julian has done. I just want to, let me play this. This is from the mother who's talking about the friend, as I said, Judge, who said, well, it wasn't Nolan who was in the argument, it was him. You talked about this a little bit. I'm going to play this soundbite and then I'm going to get your response to it.
Trayston Shepard described himself as Nolan's best friend. He gave an interview saying that he was the one who was yelling in one of the viral videos that people had been questioning, and said that it wasn't Nolan in the video, that it was him, and that Nolan met a girl that day that he really liked, even though he'd never, interacted with this girl before. Her name was Katie. Have you spoken to Trayston since Nolan's passing, and how are you responding to his account of what happened?
So first of all, we don't know Trayston. We've never met him. So to say, best friend, childhood friend, that's a bit of a stretch. We've never met him. He's never been to our home. Now, if you were to say that about Jalen or Javon, I would say absolutely. You could say that those are childhood friends. Those are best friends because they've been to our home. We know their family. We're close to, their mother, but
Hold on, let me address this MAGA minion named Helena again, and after this, you'll be blocked. It says, so his friends were his friends for a good portion of his life, and all of a sudden, they turned racially motivated on him to kill him, then you all are nuts. Well, I think you're nuts, because that's the history of your own people. Let us not forget that there were slave owners who would sleep with their slaves, procreate with their slaves. Okay, when these slaves bore their children, they would also be out in the fields as slaves. Okay, please pay attention. All right. Now you'll sit here and say all of this, but meanwhile, you voted for a president who has 34 felonies. Okay. So I really don't care what you think or whatever you think is none of my business. I really don't care because you're irrelevant. Now have the day that you and your ancestors deserve.
This young man, I maybe high school, they started hanging out or, kind of been around each other. But again, we don't know him. And not to discount anything he has said, which of course, still trying to rule those things out. But I mean, he has communicated. He did offer his condolences, which we appreciate. And he did let me know about that tidbit, which of course, like I've been telling everyone, if you have any information, forward that over to the local authorities. Make sure also forward that over to our legal team as well, just to make sure that we're looking at everything.
Let me say this to the young man.
Okay, so that's what the mother said about that. Judge, what do you say?
For Tristan, I would have liked to question him. Been able to question him myself, and I could tell if he was telling the truth based on just the years of experience. But if that was you, what were you arguing about? Who were you arguing with? What was the result of the altercation of the argument? How was it resolved? Who were the witnesses? Did you ever have a phone missing? Did someone have your phone? Because it can be clearly heard. Somebody was saying, give me my freaking phone. Who took your phone? Are you willing to sign an affidavit against that person who took your phone? Because that is a crime in the state of Mississippi, as far as I can recollect. And so you tested, you put him almost under cross-examination. Nicely, of course. He's a young lad. You don't want to be too rough with him, but just ask
Okay, Lawrence, beloved, thank you for your super sticker donation. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Some simple questions, and his response and his mannerisms would tell me if he's telling the truth. I would love to meet Tristan.
Judge Carlos Moore, thank you for your time. I know that you have other interviews to get to, but we appreciate you joining us here on the Don Lemon Show. And please come back, okay? Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I will.
Hold on for just a second, beloveds. I want to hear what she's going to say. I'm going to listen to about 2 more minutes. Okay, likes up, everyone. Please get the likes up. Thank you in advance.
Not necessarily, well, similar to this, not exactly like this, but they just don't get the attention that they deserve, or people where there are suspicious activities surrounding their death and they never get justice for it. So, Ms. Jefferson, I want to talk to you about that. We'll present some of those cases, talk to you about what Julian is doing in order to combat that. And we'll talk to you a little bit more about the Nolan Wells case as well. But first, I want to get a word in from our sponsors. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they start a business is thinking.
Julian just completed an 18-month groundbreaking study where we studied thousands of deaths across the Deep South. Mississippi had the highest number with 20, and that tracks with the historical record of Mississippi having the most lynchings in America. We're also seeing a rise in lynchings, which we link to the racialized and radicalized rhetoric that's going on in America right now. We also saw were lynchings of migrants along the border in Texas. We expect that rhetoric to cause those cases to continue to increase as well.
Wow.
Hold on. Dixie said, wow, somebody seems a bit racist. I do hope you know there's evil in every race. Yes, I do know that. But what I also know is that your race is the only one. Mind you, your race is the only one that has hate groups, the KKK, the white nationalists, okay, the neo-Yazis and all of that. Your race is the one known for lynching people who look like me, okay? Have we ever been having a history of lynching you all? And I also want you to know, and I think it's very important for you to understand, beloved, that racism is not about someone talking about your racism. You see, I'm sitting up here talking about your people's racism. Okay, so that doesn't make me racist because I'm talking about racism. You should ask yourself why in the hell your people are still to this day in 2026 so racist that we see people that look like me swinging from trees. Okay, and no one's getting any consequences for it. They're saying these are self-deletions. That's what you should be asking yourself, because people that look like you are not found swinging from trees of strange fruit by my people. Okay, we've never had a history of terrorizing, intimidating, or trying to ethnically cleanse your people. But that's absolutely what your people have done for us. And if you didn't see the beginning of this broadcast, I want you to rewind it and go back and look at the white man who sat there and talked all the trash about Black people and how he wanted to get rid of us, and that we need to stop trying to stand up to the white man, okay, because we don't have the weapons or tools and any of that. Okay, that's what he said. So we don't say things like that about you all. And yes, there are evil people in every race, but we're not just talking about evil people. We're talking about the people who control the system in this country, a system of wanton supremacy, not white supremacy, because you're not superior nor supreme, but at the end of the day, you want to be. Some of you want to be, okay? And with that being said, you go around and try to subject other people to oppression and do all sorts of nefarious things to terrorize, intimidate, and take us out. Now, that's what your people have a history of doing. Right now, there's MAGA minions on TikTok and everywhere else online on social media talking about a race war. We're not talking about a race war. That's what your people are talking about. So don't ever try to compare us to you and act as though, oh, it's just about evil people. No, it's about a certain group of people that have gone around the whole world, pillaging, okay, raping, murdering, committing genocide, doing so many nefarious things. The world knows about it. This is why they try to hide the history. This is why they want to leave certain things out of the history books. And then when we complain about it, true to fashion, they do just what you're doing. They accuse us of being the racist just because we're standing up to your own racism. And on that note, I'm going to bid you adieu, and I hope that you have the day that you and your nefarious ancestors deserve. All right. Now let's continue.
I mean, that is incredible work. And we also have, some of the cases that you have been working on. I wanted folks to see what you did, and then I want to play some of the cases that you have been working on. Here it is.
Hey, y'all. I'm here to provide updates on some recent hanging cases. First, Juliana Zeta in Charlotte, North Carolina. She was found hanging from a tree on May 8th. Julian is investigating that case fully. I was just in Charlotte this past weekend for Juliana's funeral. We've obtained an independent autopsy as well as DNA, and we should have the results of that this week. Second, Cedric Tayuhe. He was found hanging from a tree on June 6th in Charlotte. Julian's in touch with that family and is also investigating that case. Third, the case of Tone Miller in Miami, Florida. She was found hanging from a tree on June 18th. Julian has been retained by that family and we're investigating that case as well. I will be with the family on Thursday and they will be setting the record straight about some things that are just incorrect in the media and talking about who she was, what she represented, and what they need in this case. Quickly, I'll say about the Nolan Wells case. This is a case that requires extensive investigation, and I would urge the family to push for that extensive investigation, not just from the family, but from your legal counsel. This is a case where you need experienced investigators to run an independent investigation alongside the police, rather than just trusting the police to do their job. Julian is the only organization in the country that has a focus on modern-day lynchings. We investigate, litigate, and solve these cases. We have a team of investigators, all of them with FBI experience of at least 30 years. We go into the trenches with people and we find the truth.
So let me say something. Cutie Pie says, Queen, you don't play no games, and I love it. Thank you, beloved. Here's the thing. I have always gone hard in the paint on racism, and I will always continue to do so. I have grown up around racism. I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky, and I know exactly how the devils get down. And not to mention, I've told you all before that my own cousin, who was born before, who died before I was even born, but a 23-year-old cousin of mine, was lynched by the police department, He was arrested because he got into a fight with two white men who jumped him. Because the white man, one of their wives was flirting with my cousin, who was their landscaper. He did work on their yard or whatever. And the white woman was flirting with my cousin. So her husband got upset, started a fight with my cousin and was losing. So then the white neighbor jumps in and my cousin beat the hell out of both of them. And then he was arrested, not them. So when my grandparents went to bail him out the next day, they said that he was dead. They said that he was dead. Now, they lied about how he died, but the town drunk, I believe the man's name was Turkey. That was his nickname. But that man told my grandparents that, in fact, the deputies came and got him in the dark of night around midnight and took him out back. And when they brought him back inside, he was dead. They were dragging him. They put him back in the cell to try to make it look like he died somewhere in the cell, like he hung himself. But that's not even what happened. So at the end of the day, I don't play any games when it comes to this. And they can miss me with it because I really don't care what they think. And I never will. If you're a racist demon, I'm never going to care what you think because I'm going to continue to know and see you for who you are, period.
So if you would like to donate to this work, please visit our website, julianfreedom.org. If you have any information on any of these cases, please reach out to us as well. Our phone number is 601-202-1173. Julian is here for anyone's needs. If you have questions or comments, please let us know. Please like and share so we can get the word out about these cases and get information about what happened to these individuals so we can find the truth. Thank you.
Let's get the phone number up. What's the phone number again, Ms. Jefferson? We'll put it up on the screen. 601, you said 202?
Yep, 601-202-1173.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about this. First of all, the comment that you made about Nolan Wells and the public interest in this story. Why are people, especially Black folks, so skeptical of the law?
Hold on. T says, so sorry, Queen. Thank you, beloved. And here's the thing. His parents, they fled after that. They left and moved to New Jersey. My cousin, the My cousin ended up, after they moved there, my cousin who was Nicholas, that was my cousin's name, the one that died. Well, his son became the mayor of Trenton, New Jersey, okay, about 10 years ago. So anyway, all I'm saying is these people can sit down somewhere.
Law enforcement. I know the answer to that, but I want to hear what you have to say. And it's sad that an organization like Julian even has to exist.
It is. It is. In these cases, we've worked so many of them for so many years, and we've seen this type of distrust over and over and over again with law enforcement. And that is because of the history of these cases and the history of law enforcement being involved in these cases. You know, you think about 1964, the 3 civil rights workers in Freedom Summer, the police were involved in their lynching. You know, this is something that is common, that people know about in Mississippi and across the Deep South. What we also know is that these cases have always been referred to as suicides, even when they were obviously not. Even when it was a crowd of people watching what was going on, they still be designated suicides with a wink and a smile. And so people now, when they hear the word suicide, they associate it with that history as well. And so the police have to show that we can trust them, have to build that trust, and have to actually run a thorough investigation. And so far, it doesn't look like they've done that.
Mm-hmm. And look, we're not saying that this is what happened with Nolan Wells. I'm talking about
Listen, April says, it's such a pleasure to learn from you. You're so knowledgeable on our history. Thank you. Well, thank you, beloved. I appreciate your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the broadcast. This video is like probably about 20 more minutes long. So if you all want to, you can continue watching that on Don Lemon's channel. And shout out to Don for that interview. Okay, so that all being said, I will be back in the morning with your morning wake-up call. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Until then, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got